So anyone heard of this Sandy Munro guy? I definitely haven't, but apparently he has some thoughts on Tesla and their Cybertruck.
Thanks for coming by. Here's kind of like what I'm going to be talking about today, and that would be the insights to the Cybertruck. That's mine right over there. We have another one that's about 50% torn down and about 20% analyzed. And I'm going to talk to you about those things that we've seen that really excite us. And this is, as far as I'm concerned, the most exciting vehicle that I've seen in my life. And
We got to stop. Sandy Munro has been around the block more than once. He's been in the automotive industry in one form or another for many decades. And he's just said the Cybertruck is the most exciting vehicle he's ever seen. Although you could almost figure that out given the fact that Munro is doing a presentation in front of a bunch of people talking about insights from this very vehicle. I'm no expert here, but I don't think there'd be too many other events the folks at Munro and Associates have held in which they had an audience in their facilities to learn insights about a single vehicle they'd been tearing down.
I'm old, really old, like your grandfather old, 75. And I've seen lots of stuff come and go. I was on Team Taurus. We were part of the team that developed the Mini. And all this stuff was great in its day, but this kicks real ass. And I'm telling you what, I'm hoping that we've got a lot of OEMs in here that are going to be looking very carefully at the technologies that Tesla has popped out. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Elon Musk does not pay me. I don't have him on speed dial. He can call me. I don't know how to get in touch with him. We don't ever want a contract with Elon Musk and Tesla simply because I think that it'd be better as a conveyor of information from them to us and ultimately to you. Before I go too far, I wanted to make sure of one thing. If you guys are interested in seeing some of these bits and pieces, we have what we call in the May the 4th Be With You for EVs. This one's going to be featuring the Cybertruck, but we got all kinds of other electric vehicles that are going to be on display. So if you want to walk through our facility, you can do it. And there's some handouts over there. This is what our current battery area looks like, and this is what we shipped last week in a way of getting rid of batteries. So we are really into EVs. Some of you here, I recognize faces. So here's the deal. Some of you know that I was an engine engineer. I helped develop the Vulcan V6, most of the Ford engines, redesigned a lot of GM engines, and I worked on monoblocks, hydrogen engines. I was an engine engineer, okay? And now I'm on the dark side. I can't believe how good it looks when we start tearing apart some of these electric vehicles, and I see this as the future, not the past, not an intermediate stage, whatever. This is it. So how do I know? Well, I can tell you for sure that what I'm going to tell you came straight from Tesla, and plus our stuff. So we've torn a lot of our stuff down. We've made a lot of corrections and changes. And if you watch the videos that we've got popping up, you'll see that it's not just kissing, okay? We actually are pointing out things that maybe Tesla should look at. But at the end of the day, no one in this room, no one in this building should be ignoring this truck.
Sandy ain't mincing his words here, given the fact that he himself mentioned that many in the audience are from automotive companies, presumably legacy automotive companies. He seems to be addressing many of the folks currently working at some of the dinosaurs. I mean, got to give him credit for the fact that some of them are in the audience. That's a good start. But he's really trying to drive this point home, as he should. It's existential, specifically relating to the Cybertruck. Remember, in the United States, pickup trucks are the most popular form of vehicle for consumers to buy. It's not just the waistbands that are bigger in the US, also the vehicles. And regardless of aesthetics, you put that to the side. You call it a doorstop on wheels, a children's drawing of a vehicle, whatever you want to call the Cybertruck, aesthetically. In terms of its actual functionality, it matches or exceeds the functionality of a conventional pickup truck. This is very important. Most people who own pickup trucks don't own a pickup truck to do pickup truck things. There's a subset of pickup truck owners who once a year maybe might need to help somebody move a couch. And there's a subset of those people who actually regularly use their pickup truck to actually do pickup truck things. The Cybertruck can meet the needs of all of those people, plus A-list Hollywood celebrities who just want to be seen in the coolest vehicle in the history of vehicles. There are so many novel technologies and things within the Cybertruck make it so unique that some guy, in fact, back in 2019, postulated in a video that people would copy Cybertruck or perish. And the reason for that was simply based on the fact that in terms of the functionality, the utility Cybertruck delivers, including its durability, it would not be possible for companies producing conventional pickup trucks to match Cybertruck on features, functionality in the same price point. Literally impossible. And this is not hyperbole. You cannot make a conventional pickup truck with a fuck ton of little pissy panels as opposed to a stainless steel exoskeleton of the Cybertruck and have it externally be as durable. You can't scratch the paint on a Cybertruck if it ain't painted. There's not another vehicle on the planet that you could hit with a sledgehammer that will simply take the blow. No other pickup truck with the same performance as a Cybertruck. There are now some vehicles on the market with their own power outlets, an idea borrowed from Cybertruck. The Ford F-150 Lightning, just like the Cybertruck, can actually power a home if necessary. But Cybertruck has set the bar in terms of features and functionality for the ultimate pickup truck and then some. The functionality of an F-150 with the performance of a Tesla. I was going to say a Porsche, but well, that analogy no longer stands. Teslas absolutely smoke Porsches. Now, this is important because spec for spec, unless you copy the stainless steel exoskeleton and just about everything else in the Cybertruck, it is literally not possible to offer the same features and functionalities to consumers for a comparable price point. Not possible. And this is really important. So when you hear Sandy talking to a room full of people in legacy automotive companies whose breadwinner in terms of their products, pickup trucks, ICE pickup trucks, saying, listen, motherfuckers, you bitches need to pay very close attention to all the technology in the Cybertruck, I think he might have a valid point.
So where did I get my information from? And again, these are the videos on the bottom of the screen. They're showing the YouTube channels or whatever. You can take a picture of that, then you can go and listen to those guys. And they gave me a tremendous amount of information. We have maybe 6 or 8 hours of this stuff, but we chopped it down so that everybody can get the highlights from these different areas. Now, like I said, I've only got 20 minutes, so I have to kind of like move quickly, and this is kind of like the way it goes. So this is where we are as of yesterday. I took this picture, and we're making good progress, and something so far familiar on the Cybertruck, like the seats go to the battery, and then the battery comes up from the floor and goes into the vehicle and is bolted into place. That's something we already saw on the Model Y. They've got advanced cooling systems, and we already know that the cooling system that they've got here is a vast improvement over the last one we saw that was a gigantic step change, and that was in the Model Y. We also are dumbfounded in some ways. So what you see there is some of the bits and pieces that we haven't really gotten into detail about yet. But I can tell you one thing for sure, every time we turn around, there's another new surprise. Has anybody seen or heard of anything like this? This is the new vent system that they've got in the battery pack. So if you have a bad cell, then that little black dot in the orange box will allow the gas to escape. It'll also breathe, so if you're going up in the mountains or there's barometric changes and whatnot, it'll also breathe a little bit. But if you have an event, and that's a kind word for a small electric explosion, then what winds up happening is you got a lot of air to get rid, or a lot of gas to get rid of, and a lot of heat, and a lot of bits and pieces that are on fire. And that's where the spark arrestor. So on one side, you have that orange thing with a little tiny vent in it, and on the inside of the battery is that black thing, and that black thing is a spark arrestor. So the gases can get out, but the sparks stay inside. And the reason you want that is because you don't want to catch anything else on fire that's going to make the problem a bigger problem. This is one of the, I mean, it's a little teeny thing, but nobody's got it. Nobody thought of it. These are the kinds of things that I see Tesla bringing around, and everybody is eventually going to put in place.
Story of Tesla's life. Let Daddy show you how it's done. It's important to once again emphasize the fact that Sandy Munro has probably seen the insides of more vehicles than anyone else on the fucking planet. when he's describing the fact that everywhere they turn inside a Tesla vehicle, specifically with this Cybertruck, they see things they've never seen before, that no one's ever done before. It's important to understand that someone else could have done those things, but they didn't. Shout out to Tesla's innovation and leadership. More importantly though, Sandy's final comment there was suggesting that everyone else will eventually end up copying the unique and novel things that Tesla's currently doing today. Tesla literally showing the automotive industry how it's done, bitches. Which is, as I've mentioned in the past, pretty embarrassing. After all, the narrative once upon a time, these bunch of Silicon Valley morons, they don't know anything about producing vehicles, pedal gaps. Next minute, gigacastings, octave-valve heat pump, revised Model Y heat pump. And now we hear that the thermal management system in the Cybertruck's a huge leap forward from what we saw in the Model Y. The venting system here for batteries in case there's a failure in a single cell. A lot of people tend to focus on the tip of the iceberg, miss what's beneath the surface. This is the shit that's beneath the surface, quite literally, when you start looking inside these vehicles. Sandy knows what he's talking about, and he's talking to a bunch of people from legacy automotive companies going, hey, here's some shit Tesla's doing that you're not, and guess what? Eventually, you're going to end up copying them. Let that sink in.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about only 3 or 4 things. One of them is the motors, because everybody kind of is interested in the motors. So what you're looking at here is Drew Baglio, and he's the head of powertrain, and we were talking about his motors and transmission and whatnot. I'm not going to go into the diffs and the little not transmissions, but gearboxes, but I am going to talk a little bit about what the migration and what the commonization is between all these different motors. So sitting here is the 2 induction motors. I was expecting that the induction motor would be in the front like all the other Tesla. It's not. It's in the back. In the back. Those 2 motors are the 2 of the this is a Cybertruck we're tearing down. It's a beast, I should say, the 3-motor vehicle. This is a clever idea because, quite frankly, if I turn off the induction motors, they don't create a resistance that's going to give me problems with my mileage and whatnot. This is a good idea. It's a fabulous idea. So we looked at that, and like I said, they've always used them in the front, but the changes that they've made so quickly, think about it. This is ponderous. In 2016, they were machining, or 2017, they were machining billets of aluminum and gluing them together and then shoving in laminates. I mean, and then they went and they picked up on the Audi idea, which was to take the laminates and then overmold them with high pressure aluminum. Well, now they've got something that's even better. I mean, this new rotor has a huge amount of integrated features. So this is one of the rotors, obviously, and if you have a look at it, you can, sorry, we've gone to PM. Where's the other one? Somewhere along the line, I lost a slide. Anyhow, let's jump to PM motors then. So what we're looking at here is the PM motor, which is in the front. So if you have a look at the magnet V, and that would be right here. Okay, it's going in and out like that. That looks very, very similar in configuration to the to what we saw on the Model S Plaid when we tore that apart. But there's something unique here. It's similar, but it's not the same. Not only that, the keeper plate that you're looking at holds in the magnets and holds the laminates together. It's not as big as what you'd think. It doesn't cover the whole circumference. It only is it exposes like at least half the magnets, and we looked at that and wondered, well, why would that be? Well, I think it's because of cooling. I think that what they wanted to do was suck more energy out, and that ability to splash oil and coolant onto the electric motor, onto the hottest part of the face, that's probably a really good idea. But nobody else has ever done it, and certainly we've never suggested it before. I have no idea why, but it's a good idea. If we look at the laminates, you'll see that instead of having a sequential step to get rid of noise, it's only got basically 2 outside steps that are similar, and then the center part of the motor has a step. That, to me, says that I should feel a pulse. I should hear a noise. But you know what? That is my car. And guess what? It's the quietest vehicle I think I've ever had in my life. You can hear the electric motor if you turn the radio off, but I can't hear the cement mixer that's right next to me. It's amazing how quiet that thing is. I don't know how or why. We haven't torn apart the motors yet, any further than that. But I can guarantee you, when we get done, we'll figure it out. And then the last thing, they're going to near-net forgings. So near-net cold forgings, we've been talking about this forever, and nobody's ever done anything about it. And when I mean forever, like I've been in the business for about 50 years, and I've heard lots of people talk about, doing something that's radically different or doing something where you have to take a risk, but none of us have ever done it.
Talk's cheap, but actually implementing some of these ideas requires courage, balls, something severely lacking at just about every automotive manufacturer, and something in abundance at Tesla, which comes, no pun intended, from the top. We heard earlier Sandy Munro was frothing at the fact that Tesla's made 4 or 5 major leaps forward in just one particular piece of technology since 2017 in their electric motors. You'd be lucky to find an incremental improvement on anything at a legacy automotive company over 10 years, because there's no balls anywhere. A lot of people might have a good idea, it gets shot down, shut up, just do your job, that's too risky, we can't afford that, what if it doesn't work, blah, 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 which is all good and well until a company led by somebody with a massive pair of balls, whose company culture requires people to exercise their own balls or get fired, comes along and disrupts your entire industry by doing all the shit you were too much of a pussy to consider implementing. Just remember that the biggest risk of all, often, is doing nothing. Investing's risky. Well, yeah, guess what? Just wait until you get the bill for not investing. This principle applies to companies as much as it does to individuals with their own financial situation. If you're too scared to take risks, that can often be the riskiest decision of all. And these legacy automotive companies have fucked around and are now finding out. Why did it take Tesla to delete hundreds of parts and processes with giant castings? Why did Tesla need to be the one to do this? Anyone could have come up with this idea, yet it was Tesla that did it. Tesla has courage. Courage, in fact, is a prerequisite at Tesla. The DNA of the company is so different. The culture is so different to other automotive companies. It just defies belief. And it's so important and often missed, especially by allegedly smart people analyzing Tesla and covering the automotive industry. This is the beneath the surface stuff that just gets missed. When it comes to business, pussies never win. Although that, I think, applies in general to life as well.
This one has it. So they moved again from the old way of doing wound stators, and they moved to the hairpin, which is a great idea. This is as modern as we can get right now. It's not as good as what's on the Lucid with the woven grid, or hairpin, but I really like this. This is really a good idea. So, what makes it unique? Well, both the PM and the induction motor are the same diameter. Why didn't anybody think of that one before? They're the same diameter. And guess what? That means that the only difference here is the length of the contact stator. It's shorter on the induction motor, but the shafts are the same length. This means that I can probably wind all my stuff on one machine and never see a problem. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I want to see as a product design engineer first, but as a manufacturing engineer, because quite frankly, if you do that, you're going to be reducing cost, waste, and weight.
Reducing cost, weight, and weight. All good things. Notice again, Sandy Munro. Why didn't anyone else think to do that? That's a great fucking question, Sandy. Of course, the answer is no balls. That's why. Let's just keep doing the same shit we've always done. It's less risky, less scary, less uncomfortable. So far in this presentation, there's a pretty clear theme. Tesla's pace of innovation, their willingness to do new things, and the fact that they're implementing them at scale widely and embarrassing the entire automotive industry. Munro is blown away by Cybertruck and has rattled off countless examples of things that Tesla is doing that no one else is doing, and not highlighting them just because they're novel, but because they're better solutions. But please, analysts, tell me more about how the competition is coming.
So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the 48-volt system. How many people here are electrical engineers? How many of you have ever tried to talk anybody in your company to go from 12 to 48 volts? I did.
Yes, and coincidentally, Sandy Munro no longer works for somebody else. He had to start his own company, of course. They're totally unrelated, right? It's not like a guy who has good ideas, who shares them in companies and realizes these fuckers won't listen. I'm just going to start my own company. That would never happen. It's a coincidence that he ended up starting his own company, not a necessity, right?
Did. That was a career-limiting move when I was at Ford. Nobody, are you joking? We can't, blah, blah, blah. But you look at this, okay? This is an illustration, but this is what it would look like for a cable if it was running 12 volts, and look at that skinny cable for 48 volts. Why do we want to do that? Well, let's see, does copper cost anything? Well, maybe. Does it weigh anything? Yeah, maybe. And what about the connectors? Oh, you can't get connectors, that's why we don't want to do it. There's no sensors, no connectors. How'd they build that truck then? And why are they moving everything else to 48 volts? I mean, at the end of the day, if Tesla can't find somebody that will make the sensors or make the connectors, they'll do it themselves. That is where we're losing here in North America. Well, they're North America as well, but that's where we're losing as traditional OEMs. We're missing the boat and we're not moving fast enough. So have a look at this. This is a controller out of some other car. I don't know which one they picked to take a picture of, but this is the one that will go from the front to the back of a normal sized vehicle. The one below it is the one that you're going to see when we found when we tore apart the Cybertruck. The CAN bus system weighs 80 kilograms, or sorry, 80 grams, I should say, and the Ethernet ring, which moves faster and whatever. If we look at it just the way it is, and it's like twice as long as the traditional wire one. It's at 40 kilograms or 40 grams, but if we went and did a sizing change, it'd be only 28. So from 80 to 28 grams. And then you look at the connectors. Well, if we look at the connectors on basically your right-hand side, you're looking at a power. Here's your power for everything, basically, for everything. And here's your communication. And here's your power, and here's your communication. And that's as close as I could get them to size for size. And obviously it's lighter. Obviously it's less money. Who in the world would ever think that we could use a ribbon cable to do all this stuff, and that's as little as not so long ago. I was shocked when I saw this. I'm shocked about a lot of stuff, but there you go. And then I want to talk a little bit about the castings. So over there, somewhere in our little booth, we have the castings from the Model Y and from the Model Y, from both Model Ys. And if you have a look, you'll see that they're pretty big, and they're cast on machines that are approximately 8 or 9,000 tons, okay? But now Tesla has figured out how to make things a little different. And I got this straight from Lars, the guy that Lars Morvay, who's in charge of this, straight from him. They developed their own CAD system. They developed a new CFD system so they could figure out how to use less tonnage to get the same casting. So when you start fooling around with this, I don't know how many are aware of it, but these gigantic castings are formed in less than a second, less than 1 second. And that's why they don't move. There's no time for induced stresses. These are the kinds of things that we kind of like never thought about. And anybody who knows or has been to our facility, you know that I've had on my floor 15 years ago castings, a whole cast, basically rolling chassis. The thing was cast, everybody laughed at it, everybody walked away from it. Well, right now, Idra and all the other guys that are making casting machines can't push them out fast enough. All of a sudden it's become popular. That movement has to happen a lot faster for these other techniques and technologies. By the way, the one thing that I didn't mention was 48 volts. That is the enabler. That is the enabler if we're going to fool around with steer-by-wire and whatnot. We have to move quicker. That's my main message. So the material, some people want to know about this stuff. The material is A384/80, but there's magic stuff in it. We haven't really done a downtown analysis on this yet because we haven't had a chance to drill any holes in these things. But last time we found a tremendous number of little tiny elements and alloys that we would have never expected to see inside the aluminum castings.
Just in case there are any non-ultra nerds here getting a little bit lost in the weeds, what Sandy's talking about here is in order for Tesla to actually do these giant castings, and in particular, he's currently referring to the Cybertruck's gigantic casting, they needed to invent a new material that has never previously existed, at least in this part of the universe. And it was not just a simple recipe. When he's talking about all of these novel materials, this is some cutting-edge material science. This has figured out a secret recipe. Shout out to KFC, right? This is the equivalent, the herbs and spices for the giant casting. The right materials in the right proportions create the right properties to actually pull this off. And in case you guys don't know, one of the benefits of being Elon Musk is having the world's best and brightest engineers work for you, not just at Tesla, but also SpaceX, and a willingness for some of these folks to transition between two companies. And it is known, at least I think it's known, if not, it now is, that some of SpaceX worked temporarily or perhaps permanently on Cybertruck. In other words, some of the biggest brains over at SpaceX were brought over to Tesla, chose to come over to Tesla to work on this project. It's no stretch to say there's a little bit of rocket science in this thing. So just imagine you're Ford or Government Motors or pick your legacy automotive manufacturer and you want to develop something as cutting edge, innovative as Cybertruck. You think, oh shit, you know what? We could really do with some cutting edge material scientists or this, that or the other. Let's just get our team on Space Y to come over. Oh wait, there is no Space Y, is there? Yeah, you get my point, right? This is another one of those untouchable advantages that Tesla has. Some of the same people who've developed, pioneered, been involved with the development of reusable rockets at SpaceX literally came over to work on and develop Cybertruck. Try doing that if you're a legacy automotive company.
And if you look, how did they get to drop the tonnage? How did they get to drop the tonnage? Well, it's all about this. Here you go. Look at the way that this is being cast. All these things allow for quicker flow. There's no real right angles. That means that I can shove the material faster into the die, and by utilizing these ribs with like almost butterfly shapes, by doing that, they figured out how to get rid of all the little problems that would cause them to jump from like 6,000 tons to 9,000 tons. And these castings are gigantic. These are big. These other ones are huge. They are really huge. And quite frankly, they've done all the same things as what they did on the Y, including all these little cast-in-place features where I can hook something in place or I can snap something right into the aluminum.
So remember the mantra, the best part is no part, best process is no process. This single casting here, as Munro is pointing out, one part, a huge casting, contains a bunch of clips, right, for these cables built in, meaning that this one piece, which is created in a literal second, 1 second, deletes the need for a human and potentially in the future a robot to manually pick up and attach a bunch of different fixed points for cables, right? Parts deleted, processes deleted, time saved, cost saved, and ultimately weight saved as well. This is the manifestation of the best part is no part and the best process is no process. I'm not going to lie, it's got to be pretty deflating to be one of the people in the audience here working at a legacy automotive company, just seeing this shit and going, fuck my life, bro. There's no way my boss would approve this. There's no way we could do this. We don't have the material scientists. We don't have the... You just got to feel for these folks.
These are the kinds of things that, I mean, I've seen other companies that have tried the castings and whatnot. They're not taking full advantage of what you can do with that material science and what you can do with the types of products that you can put out. And by the way, I'm sure you probably heard about, oh, let's look at the rear casting. So again, it's the same thing, we think. But then you've got these other castings. So this is the rear section, and this is what supports the timbre door. And over here you've got, actually it's both for the timbre door. So these don't have to be really structural. They need to be strong, but they're not something that's going to affect a crash or a rollover for that matter. So you look at these things and you say, well, what the heck's that made out of? Well, I can tell you right now it's mixed material, because we've taken 5 shots on one casting and got 5 different answers. And then we tried it on the other casting and we got 5 more different answers. So what are they doing? Why does it look like that? I think what they're doing is they're taking off the scraps, because like I say, these don't have to be structural. They don't have to be like the big castings. They're taking that scrap material and they're melting it down and shooting it. Well, why is that a good idea? Well, guess what? Engineers, we are supposed to be making money for shareholders, and that is a good idea. Is it as strong as the other castings? No, but it doesn't have to be. We're supposed to be engineers, design it for what it needs to be, not for what somebody else thinks would be a good idea. And as far as I'm concerned, anything you have to throw into a landfill or send into for recycling is a waste. I want, if that stuff is available to me and it's not good enough for the main castings, I'm not going to toss it. I'm going to find another use for it. Reuse is one of my favorite words. There's no need for the extra strength, as I mentioned. It's got the same ease of assembly features. So again, all these little places where they've cleverly made it so that the parts will either snap into a hole or they'll weave between 3 pins and they hold themselves in place. These are all little things that cut down the amount of time it's going to take to make an assembly on the factory floor. So we look at these kinds of things, and somebody's going to ask, well, how'd they attach them? They're basically just spot welds. There's nothing exotic about the way they've attached these, what I would call secondary castings to the main casting. So now, I'm sure there are doubting Thomases. So I had to do a speech in Italy for the casting stamping organization. I don't know what it was called, but it was a European organization, and they said, put us out something that tells us what's going on with castings versus stampings. Now, Munro Associates is known for like YouTube, and some people know about the benchmarking. We also design products, and we design the factories that go along with them. So I know a lot about the Mitsubishi motor assembly plant in Normal, Illinois that's now being used by Lucid. And I can tell you right now, I know how many stamping lines they had in there. I know what machines they had. I know everything. And I know how much they could do in the way of in-house without buying small secondary stampings from somebody else. The way I know about that is because the guys at Mitsubishi at one time were going to take this area right here and turn it into odds and ends type stamping. Now, we had that information, and I had the information that I had from the guys who make the molds. I am a die maker. I was a tool and die maker before I was an engineer. So we had all of the information that we needed from everybody as to how much of the stamping presses are costing, brand new, how much is the mold presses costing, brand new, how much is the material, blah, 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 everything else. Here's what we came up with. Have a look at that. That blue stuff is the reduction size in that plant. That's ponderous. What all is going on in there? Well, that's the stamping machines I don't need anymore. That's the sub-assembly weld areas that I don't need anymore. That's the subsystems areas that I don't need anymore. And that's the storage I don't need anymore. The coilers, the uncoilers, there's all kinds of, only uncoilers and straighteners. There's all kinds of things that we can do if we start thinking about the total accounted cost and not just, well, hey, a 9,000 ton press is going to cost us $9 million. That's interesting, but it's irrelevant. What is going to be the long-term effects? How many shots can I get out of this thing? How many times can I stamp something? Who's going to be making these molds and dies? All this stuff here is what we do. That's what we do for a living, a real living. I mean, the YouTube's nice, and selling reports, that'll keep us in chewing gum. But at the end of the day, That is what we do for a living. So why use castings? Tesla saved almost $200 in total accounting costs, and they got rid of 40% of their floor space.
So a 40% reduction in factory floor space is massive. Now, obvious things are obvious, but let's talk about obvious things. Hypothetically, imagine that you had a factory that was large enough with all the stamping to produce 1 million vehicles a year. Now, after moving over to the giant castings, you could produce those same million vehicles in a factory that was just 60% the size. Or alternatively, wait for it, ready, from the same factory, you could produce now not 1 million vehicles a year, but not far off 1.5 million vehicles per year. Hopefully this goes without saying, but since we are talking about obvious things, if you can get more vehicles out of a smaller factory, you can either have a smaller site, which will cost you less to buy the land, less to build the factory, lower overheads, less cost for energy, the whole thing. Or alternatively, you can produce more vehicles out of the same factory. So again, your cost per vehicle, the overheads are reduced. This is not like a 3% saving in factory footprint or a 4%, 40%. Someone remind me why it took Tesla to do this, to think of this and implement this? Oh wait, that's right, I forgot the answer. Balls.
Anybody that wants to question that is quite welcome to try me out, but I will win. So, what about the other thing? Oh, sheet metal versus casting. Sheet metal is much smarter, much stronger. If you get into a crash, those castings will all break. Bullshit. How in the world let me ask you a question. How many people here have ever seen a welded together engine? Sheet metal engine. Anybody? How about a cast engine? Anybody seen one of those? There's a reason why, as an engine engineer, I would use castings versus a stamped metal engine block. Okay? There's a reason for that. And by the way, they aren't all made out of iron. Most of them are made out of aluminum. So I did my own little experiment. For those of you on this side, I hit this with a 12-pound sledge. Okay? See that depression? I can stick my finger through it. I hit this one with a 12-pound sledge. It rubbed off the paint. Okay? Same amount. And quite frankly, I may be old, but I'm not weak. And for you guys, right here, that gap, I can put my finger through. This is where I rubbed off the paint. We've got to stop the myths associated with techniques, technologies, and materials, and material science. We, as engineers, and this is all engineers, I'm assuming, we all have to get together here and start doing things a whole lot faster and a whole lot better and with a whole lot more, guts. Because quite frankly,
I think the word he was really searching for there was balls, but guts will do.
I'm sure it's still the same. When I was an OEM engineer, if you say no, you get promoted. Why? Because you'll never make a mistake. Never. You'll never have to be worried about the career path, as long as you just say no. And we've got to start saying yes, and we've got to start doing it in a hurry.
So Sandy quite confidently pointing out there that these companies need to grow a fucking pair of nuts, or they're not going to make it. What are the odds, however, that companies whose very DNA encodes instructions of pussification, of saying no to everything, of refusing to take risks, what are the odds that these companies will suddenly miraculously be able to grow a pair of collective nuts, start innovating at a furious pace, and somehow miraculously exceed Tesla's pace of innovation for a decade plus period of time in order to be able to eventually catch up, let alone exceed Tesla? I mean, I'm no expert here, but I would have to probably put those odds at about 0.000000000. You get the fucking point. 42069%. I mean, it's too late. I'm sorry, but it is. It's just not going to happen. These companies are collectively hurtling back toward the Earth, no parachute, at terminal velocity. The best they can hope to do now, and remember, hope is not a strategy, is maybe extend their arms and legs at a little bit of resistance and extremely marginally slow their rapid descent and go splat a few seconds later with slightly less total force. They're done, folks. It's just over. Man, I don't want to be a Debbie Down here. I'm not trying to be negative. It's just the facts. They're fucked. They're so fucked. These companies have all collectively collided with the iceberg years ago, sprang leaks, didn't notice, and I still don't know if they've completely noticed. But no matter what they do now, The ships are going to end on the bottom of the ocean, and most of them are going to drown in the waters. No balls, no brains, no future. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. It's an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. It certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point and something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1 shit, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it, you'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, snake oil salmon sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.